in the great sweep of human history, the facts will always win. At some point in the dim and distant past, even people currently living under the jackboot of North Korean administrations or Vladimir Putin's Russia, the truth will eventually out. It has to. Facts have to prevail. And then, of course, the process of chipping away at them and the rise of totalitarian regimes, people with dictatorial ambitions begin to chip away at facts and truth, as Americans are discovering at the moment. But they do have to come out on top, which is why I wonder how we should approach people who are still in denial of the facts, who still think there was a brilliant Brexit, but it goes to a different school, or it could have all been so wonderful, we've been betrayed, or unicorns do exist, that we just haven't found one yet. What's the correct approach to that? Does it even matter? Because if you're dealing with members of a cult, there's not a great deal you can do to break the spell of the cult. Richard is in Kenton in Middlesex. Richard, what would you like to say?
Good morning, James.
Hello, mate.
First time I've spoken to you. I've seen you quite a bit on YouTube.
Welcome.
And fascinated with your comments. I was in favour of Brexit. I voted for Brexit, but it hasn't worked. The previous government, it didn't work, and this government, it hadn't worked because the politicians are, in a word, hopeless, all of them.
What would you have done?
That's why the Reform Party is going to get a lot of votes in all
So
the future elections.
what would you have done?
What would I have done?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a politician. That's not my expertise.
No, but if you don't have a view on that...
I would certainly have sealed the borders up.
Sealed the borders up?
Yes.
Okay.
I think zero we've got how many people in this country? 75, 80 million unofficially. Well over 70 million.
Unofficially?
When I was growing up, there was 50 million.
Right.
How can this small area, this tiny country, accommodate 20 million more people?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It cannot work. And also from overpopulation, you can't get a doctor's appointment. You can't park your car.
Well, that's
you can't
largely
drive into London.
That's large. Well, I'm in London. I came in on a bus this morning. You're in Kenton.
I go on buses. I'm a senior citizen.
You're in Kenton. So your theory is we just need to do all of the same things again, but harder.
The same things meaning what?
Trusting Nigel Farage, most obviously.
Well, give him a try.
Yeah, because the last promises he made have gone so well, haven't they?
I wouldn't know what they were exactly.
He told you Brexit was going to do loads of magical things, and it's done precisely none of them.
But
and some of us explained why it would be impossible to deliver all of the things that he promised, and we've been proved right. But you still trust him?
I don't trust him.
Yes, you do.
I'll give them a chance because
that involves
the other two
trust.
major parties have got any chance of winning an election.
And apart from somehow
90% of the country would say they're hopeless.
And apart from somehow sealing our borders, when I ask you what you could or what any politician could have done differently, you've got nothing.
I haven't got nothing. I'm not an expert on how I would seal the borders.
No, but let's forget about sealing the borders and talk about how Brexit could have gone better.
Sealing the borders is not the right words.
Well, I think they were yours.
They were my words.
Okay.
They weren't the right words.
That's okay. That's a very Brexity thing to do. What other things could have made Brexit better?
By keeping the population down.
How would we do that? Sterilisation?
No.
Contraception?
The immigration.
Right. Apart from immigration,
the birth rate is falling. British people are having fewer children.
Therefore, we need immigration.
So
we're abolishing immigration. So, apart from immigration, how could Brexit have gone better?
Apart from immigration?
Yeah.
By having control of your own country, which I wouldn't know whether we have or not, and not being ruled by Europe.
In what way? Give me an example of that, would you?
I can't give you an example.
Does that not embarrass you on any level? You're on the national radio now, convinced that you've got some interesting points to make. And when the presenter asks you politely, calmly, for just like one single intelligent insight into the position that you hold, you just say, I can't. I've got nothing. I'm not a politician. I am
slightly embarrassed because I'm not an expert. I'm
Do you know who else isn't an expert on this?
You.
No, I am. Ask me anything. Every single person who's encouraged you to support Brexit, there's not a single expert among them. And yet you're still trusting them instead of the people who are being proved right about everything. And I hear the chuckle, and that means that you're not someone who's been desperately affected by Brexit. You're not someone whose business has been shut down. You're someone who lies awake in bed in Middlesex having weird dreams about immigrants. You're not someone who's had...
You're very rude to me, aren't you?
Well, I am very rude to you, yes, because of what you've done to my country.
What I've done.
And now you're here to tell me you've got no clue about anything.
What have I done? I voted for Brexit. It was 51% against 49%.
You voted for Brexit, and you still cling to the carcass that it could somehow have gone well. And apart from making life difficult for people who don't look like you haven't got a single clue what that means, what you want, or how you'd go about getting it. So how on earth, Richard, could I not be rude to you?
Well, a lot of people are rude to me because I've got very strong views on certain things.
No, it's not because you've got very strong views, Richard. It's because you can't explain a single one of them.
Because I told you 3 times I'm not an expert on politics.
So you're literally sitting in front of me now saying I've got very strong views on things, but I don't understand any of them.
Which 90% of the population would have. All the people who
I can
vote.
promise you, Richard, that 90% of the population do not have very strong views about things that they can't explain. And if they did, they wouldn't be stupid enough to ring up a radio station and advertise it.
I just wanted to speak to you. I wanted to see how many times you'd interrupt me. But I have got strong views.
But you don't understand why?
Yes, I do.
Because you're not an expert. In fact, you are Mr. Brexit. I've got really strong views. I hate immigration, and I have absolutely no insights whatsoever into all of the reasons behind the strong views that I hold.
I don't hate immigration. If we had a population of 50 million, I would encourage immigration. But you have to. America is how many times as big as Britain? 30, 40 times as big in area. They've got 6 times as many people. They've got 300 and something million.
It's 10:45.